enjoyed the HeronKidz Talk, and as I promised, I'm going to show you how to make these badges of honor. Just to save time, I have drawn the shapes onto this piece of paper. The first shape that we're going to cut out is a rectangle, and it would be 27 centimeters by 10 centimeters. Please make sure that you do it exactly to 27 centimeters, because a little bit later on we are going to be folding, and if it isn't exactly 27 centimeters, your folds won't work out nicely. The next shape that we're going to cut out, it's actually two rectangles, but I'm going to start off by doing the big rectangle and then we'll halve it. This one is 11 centimeters up and then 4 plus 4, so it's 8 centimeters across. But once I've cut that one out, I'm going to halve it. So now, oops, I just have to fix the edge. Sorry, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So I'm halving this, so it's actually going to be 11 centimeters by 4 centimeters. And then I'm going to cut a little triangle out the bottom. I actually used a pencil to make the line so that I could get it exactly right. And then I used the first one that I cut out as a template to cut out the second one, because I did want them to look exactly the same. All right, so now we have those two. They will be the ribbons that we're going to use later on in our badge. I'm rubbing off all the pencil marks because I don't like those pencil marks showing when the badge is complete. Right, the next thing we're going to do is cut out a circle. Now, there are many ways to draw a circle. One is just to take the lid off a bottle of jam or something. The other is, of course, is to use a compass, but you could also use a mug. I only drew one circle, and I'm folding it in half so that I will cut through and create two circles. If your paper is very thick, then it might be better to cut one and then the other. This paper is a little bit difficult to cut, and I'm actually struggling a little bit to make the circle perfectly round. So I'm just going to trim off the little bits that don't quite look right, because I do want perfectly round circles. I'm just not happy with this one. I should have cut one and then the other, but I was lazy, trying to save time. So now we're going to move on to doing a job that you might have done before. It's called scoring. So what we do with scoring is we take a sharp implement. I have this little thingy that I use. I actually use it for scrapbooking. It pokes holes, but if you don't have one, you can use a pen that doesn't write anymore. That also works, but it must be a pen that no longer writes. But what you want is something sharp, and then you are going to drag the sharp thing along the paper at intervals of 1.5 centimeters. I don't know if you can see it in this video, but I actually made little markers for myself so that I could see where the 1.5 centimeter marks were. So I'm moving along very carefully and scoring every 1.5 centimeters. So what you'll get is a dent or a ridge in the page at every 1.5 centimeters. Now, if you press too hard and your paper's too thin, this might go right through the paper and then it'll tear, so that's not great. But if you don't press hard enough, then you won't make the dent, you won't make the ridge, and then it also won't fold nicely. So you've got to get your pressure just right. But it's not hard, don't worry. And if your maths is good, you might have worked out that if we have 27 centimeters here in this big shape, and we're making marks at every 1.5 centimeters, you will end up with 18 folds. So just move along carefully and make sure that you line it up properly, otherwise you'll have a very wonky rosette. Now, some people actually do this twice. They have two shapes, but I made one big shape and scored the shape, and now I'm cutting it in half. That for me just saves time, because now instead of having to score the one rectangle and then the second rectangle, I've scored it all together, and now I can cut, and I've got my two smaller rectangles. Then I take off the pencil marks that I used just to make the markers for myself so I could line up 1.5 centimeters. And now the fun starts. We fold. So the folding should be very easy now. You're going to go forwards, backwards, along those little ridges that you've created. So here we go, backwards, forwards, and you're zigzagging all the way, making it nice and tight, because that will make the rosette look better in the end. And you squeeze it together, and there you have it. And you do exactly the same thing with the second one, creating a zigzag. You don't want to squeeze it nice and tight every now and again, just to make sure that you've got good folds. Right, now you'll notice that the one zigzag will end with a flip up, and the other one will end up with a flip down. Now you must line it up that way so that when you attach the two, it attaches neatly and seamlessly. So there's your up one, and you're going to attach it to the one that's pointing down. Now I use a glue gun. You might not have a glue gun, and that's fine. If you don't have a glue gun, you just use normal glue. You put it on the one side, and then you hold it to the other side, and you squish it together, hold it tight so that the glue sticks and makes a very good seal. The reason I use a glue gun is because it's quick and easy. If you don't have a glue gun, you're going to have to hold that together for a bit to make sure that it really sticks properly. If you use a glue gun, please make sure that you have an adult helping. Do exactly the same thing on the other end, because we want to bring it right round and make a circle with this. You can see my glue gun's not being very well behaved. I think maybe I need a new one. But here we go. I take the two ends again, line them up so they're up on the down, and stick them together, and now I have a round. Now, what you're going to do with this is squish it flat onto the table to make a flower. I got this right first time here, but you might not, because it's actually quite a tricky thing. And in fact, this is a part you really might want somebody else to help you manage the glue gun, but also to hold it down while you try to glue. So I put the glue onto one of the circles, quite a bit of glue so that it can stick well. Now what I have to do is squish it down like I did just now and stick it in the middle. Sometimes it pops into place easily, and sometimes you have to fight with it a little bit. But there we go. It's made a nice flower. So if you've got somebody to help you, they can hold that together, and then you take the circle that you glued and you put it in the middle, and that will hold the flower together. So now the second side will be a lot easier because it's being held in place. You just have to hold it a little bit so that it dries and sticks. And then you flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side with the other circle that we cut out. This one is going to be the front, so we want to make sure it's exactly in the center, that it's all neat and tidy in the center. The back one doesn't matter too much because you don't really see it. So again, I'm putting my glue on the circle, lots of glue so that it sticks well, and then I'm going to stick it exactly in the middle. We're almost there. Now we're going to work on the ribbons. We're going to put these two ribbons at an angle. There's no right or wrong with the angle. It's what you think looks nice. And you're going to glue the two together. Just a dab of glue at the top so that the two are perfectly in place. And stick it down. Now we're going to take the flower rosette and we're going to stick it on. Again, there's no right or wrong of how you want this to be. If you want the ribbons to stick out a long way, that's absolutely fine. But let's put some glue at the top of the ribbons. That's going to be hidden, so you're not going to see that. And then you're going to take the flower rosette and position it where you think it looks good. And once you're happy with the position, then you stick it on and hold it for a few seconds. much done. As I said earlier, Father's Day is coming up next weekend, so it might be a good idea to make this for your father. How about world's #1 father or world's best father? You can think of a message for your dad, and if you want him to pin it onto his clothes, all you need to do is stick a safety pin on the back of the badge. You can stick it on also with a glue gun or with some tape, and then he can wear it all day, and he will know that you love, honor, and respect him. And you don't only have to make it for your dad. If you enjoyed this, you could make one for your teacher, you could make one for your mom, you could make one for your best friend, you could do a thank you. You could use it for just about anything where you want to show honor and respect to somebody. And that's it. Hope you have fun, and I hope you make a few.